the characterization of Georgia O'Keeffe is so much fun to read. I mean, talk a little bit about what it was like to inhabit her and be her in what she says and what she does. I mean, she takes down Charles Lindbergh and she takes down a rattlesnake, Womp, at the beginning with that same determination and passion. Talk a little bit about being Georgia.
Well, all this has a little basis in truth. I found out that she'd always walk out into the desert with her snake stick in case something happened. And if it did, she'd kill the snake, she'd take a knife out of her pocket and cut off the rattles. And she kept them in a bowl in her living room. And I read someplace she played Chinese checkers with them. And they were beautiful. I saw a picture of these rattles, from the rattlesnake. I thought, that's pretty gutsy, you know? But also what appealed to me, and when I was doing the research, I can't even remember, let me put this in. I have a quote. I found this right away, and I totally identified with it. This is on the first page of the book, and it's a quote from her where she says, "I've been absolutely terrified every moment of my life, and I never let it keep me from doing a single thing that I wanted to do." Well, that just so set her character. So she was just terrific in that, but now I forget the rest of your
Just sort of being Georgia. So here is this person who comes across on the page in this duality of being absolutely obsessed, absolutely determined, absolutely her own person, but then haunted by the abortion, haunted by her marriage, haunted by her life. Very vulnerable person. So talk a bit about how you managed to create both of those personalities for her.
Well, I did read a lot of her letters to Stiglitz and to her best friends, especially Anita Pulitzer, who really brought her to the attention of Stiglitz. And she was very bold, and she was a feminist before the word was invented. And she just, I don't know, it's one of my favorite scenes in the book is she has a romance with the sheriff in Santa Fe, and it kind of reminds me, who was Nick and Nora Charles?
Yeah. There's a lot of banter. I mean, they're these two smart people, and it makes sense for this, and we know from moment one there's going to be a romance from the moment that they prod each other and joke with each other. And it is like Nick and Nora Charles, but the dialogue between the two smart people who each are vulnerable and each have been damaged and each have been harmed and are each still looking for something good in their lives.
Well, yeah, and she had a great wit. And so one of my favorite passages in the book is when she's driven up to Albuquerque, and he'd gone up there too. They didn't know each other, and she's driving back, and he puts on his siren, and he pulls her aside to arrest her for speeding. And she's never heard of such a thing. And in fact, there wasn't such a thing except and I had to research this, Connecticut was the first state that had speeding laws.
I mean, it's so great because there was no speeding.
There was no speeding.
There were no license plates either, you were saying.
No, so she says, well, what are you doing? You were speeding. And he said, well, you were driving like a woman. So, this set her off. And it's a lot with pacing in a mystery.
Well, you've done it so seamlessly in this book. There were times that I laughed out loud. There were times that I cheered. There were times that I was terrified. There were times that I was sad. And I'm delighted and shocked, but not surprised that your end, the end of the plot, and the emotional end. There are two real endings to this book. The end of the plot and the emotional end are both just gorgeously done. So congratulations. Welcome back.